Hi guys, Lucy aka the Watchbox Diaries here. Welcome to my channel. Now I am finally getting hands-on with another Formex. They have just dropped the latest addition to their Essence range and with a dial material that I am currently obsessed with. I previously reviewed one of their Field watches. If you haven't watched it, when you're done with this, off you go. But other than that, I haven't really had much opportunity to have some proper hands-on time with them. And it is a brand that intrigues me. They seem to have great quality watches at a great price point and with some of the most enthusiastic supporters of the brand possible. So when they reached out, I obviously had to say yes. As you might have gathered from the title of this video, this is the Essence 39 Agate dial. Stone dials seem to be gaining more and more popularity. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but for anyone who is not familiar with Formex, they're an independent family-run Swiss company and they were founded in 1999. So Formex is made up of Form Extreme, put that together, that is French for extreme shape as reflected in their case designs. Their watches and designs are quite heavily inspired by high-performance bikes and cars, and they're well known for their patented case suspension system. So not only does it provide additional protection for the watch, but for optimum comfort on the wrist. So instead of digging in, it is spring-loaded to give you a little bit more comfort. Let's whiz through the specs then. So as I mentioned earlier, this is an extension of their Essence range, and as the name suggests, it comes in at 39mm, surprise, surprise. It has a lug-to-lug of 45mm and a thickness of just 10mm. Strap width is 20mm, has a blue agate stone dial, steel case with a grade 2 titanium, sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. It uses a Chronometer grade and COSC certified Solita SW200 automatic movement, 100 meters of water resistance and a 41-hour power reserve, which is kind of a random number. I'm currently obsessed with stone dials. It's a love that started, I think, with vintage Piaget, and now seeing them in more modern case designs and with modern updated movements, I love that combination of slightly dressier but with more of a tall watch aesthetic. Like that mashup for me, I'm here for it. It's not as obvious a stone dial as, say, their malachite dial, and I love that. I love that it is quite an under-the-radar stone dial. It's almost unless you get really close up to it, you're not going to realise that it's a stone dial. And when you do get close up to it, you realise that there's a lovely texture to the dial. It kind of reminds me of ocean waves. I found it really calming just to look at the dial. I have to mention how well this watch wears on the wrist. I think having a lug-to-lug of 45mm definitely plays a massive role in that. I've got a friend who's got an Essence 39 with a different dial variation, and he's got a much bigger wrist than me, but it still suits him and fits his wrist really nicely. I will also mention that the bracelet and the straps that go along with it fit the case very smoothly. There's no additional sort of lip where the case and the strap meet. In addition to the fit being great, the brushing also does absolute wonders for that case. That surface catches just the right amount of light that it enhances the contours of the watch without it completely overwhelming the design. So with some dressier, more artistic pieces, hand sizing and legibility aren't necessarily as important as the design itself. For a sports / more tool-based watch, it is very important. Formex have absolutely nailed it, in my humble opinion. They've got strong applied indices and readable at a glance hands. I also really like that they have made the hour hand short enough that when it hits those indices, it doesn't completely line up. So it is really easy to tell which one the hour hand actually is. If you take a look at their website and their different watches, you will see that Formex are a brand that like to play with different materials. This watch is no exception. So not only do they use a grade 2 titanium container within the case, but they also have a carbon fiber clasp. Firstly, and most importantly for me, it is quite a short clasp. It sits underneath the wrist really nicely, so there's no sticking out either side. It wraps perfectly. Secondly, it is very lightweight. Carbon fibre is a very lightweight material, and it's quite an unusual material to use, especially when nothing else on the watch is carbon fibre. As it is hidden between the rubber part of the strap though, you never notice it. You think stone dial, you don't necessarily think loom. But there's loom, people, there is loom. It is essential on a tool/sports watch, and the fact that this has maybe a slightly more unusual dial material doesn't take that away. In my opinion, it just makes for a more interesting combination, that slightly more dressy dial design and the specifications and the aesthetics of a more rugged piece. Like, it's a match made in heaven for me. For anybody wondering, yes, it does have a quick release bracelet/strap. I mean, it's just kind of a must these days, isn't it? So moving on to gripes, honestly, very few. My first one would probably be that the date window won't be for everybody. Some people prefer a date window that's a little bit more discreet, whereas this one, although it is very well matched and it's at that 6 o'clock position, it's not in an odd placement, the date window is quite a statement piece with that thick frame either side of it. So I don't get my nails done very often, but I did recently to go on holiday, and this is probably just a me thing, but I struggled a little bit to pull the crown out. Also, when you click the date over, it is quite a prominent click. Not necessarily a bad thing or that much of a gripe, but it is something I noticed. On the flip side to my like, if you're looking for a stone dial specifically, you might want something a bit more obvious. This dial is quite a dark shade, and yes, it will vary from watch to watch depending on which cut you get. But I think the majority of the time it will look black/very dark blue, even at a fairly short distance, which is actually a factor that I really love about it. It's only when you get it in the bright light or you're super close to it that you see how beautiful that deep blue shade is. As great an idea as it is, the case suspension system of the watch that I managed to get my hands on was quite stiff. You did have to put a little bit of strength into getting it to move and push up, which kind of defeats the purpose of it. While this isn't a limited edition, they are going to be limited in terms of production numbers. So they have promised they will have 50 available before Christmas. So if you want to get your hands on one in time, they should be available. And then it will be roughly 100 per year each year after that. Price-wise, you're looking at $1,750, which is around about £1,400 for the rubber strap or the leather strap. That does also come with the carbon fibre deploying clasp as well. If you're wanting the bracelet, it is $1,860, which is around about £1,500. That is it. That is my review done. I have thoroughly enjoyed getting hands-on with this Formex. As I've mentioned multiple times today, that I am obsessed with stone dials, and the subtlety of this one, combined with the sports watch aesthetics of the case that just fit my wrist really, really nicely. Let's just say I'm very pleased with this watch. I'm a massive fan of it. Now it's over to you guys. Let me know what you think. What do you think of Formex? What do you think of stone dials? That combination of something that's slightly dressier, but in a modern sports/tool watch casing? Let me know everything in the comment section below. Huge thanks for tuning in. If you have enjoyed my horological ramblings and you want to support my channel, do the YouTubey things. Make sure you have given it a like, you have commented, you are subscribed. And as always, if you want to be notified of my upcoming videos, you've just got to click the little bell and YouTube will do its thing. Until next time though, bye. Bye.